Last week, the Hamilton Tiger Cats handed the Edmonton Eskimos their second straight loss. The Eskimos look to get back on the winning track this afternoon. Also ahead on the CFL Report, an Edmonton defensive lineman who's a big family man. A former CFL star living in a very affluent area. And Edmonton and BC trade wide receivers.
As it often does, the wind is blowing at Taylor Field in Regina. It is a crisp fall day at Taylor Field, and it feels a lot like football in the Queen City as the Edmonton Eskimos take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a key Western meeting here in Regina. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Taylor Field. I'm Gord Miller with the CFL Report. You know, the Eskimos and the Roughriders had a lot of people with big expectations at the start of the season. It's safe to say that both teams may be a little frustrated. The Eskimos haven't dominated the league like they thought they would, and the Roughriders are in third place.
Since they defeated the highly touted Toronto Argos 40-34 in the first week of the season, the Edmonton Eskimos have looked like Grey Cup contenders. The defending Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders, meanwhile, have only a .500 record, but they too have played well enough to be considered a contender. Now, on paper, the Eskimos and Roughriders are the class of the league. Edmonton leads the way in offensive yardage with Saskatchewan second, while the Green Riders have the league's stingiest defense with Edmonton second. But despite the good numbers, all is not well with the Eskimos. 2 weeks ago, they were crushed 48-25 by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right in Edmonton. Then last week, they lost 25-23 to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a team that entering the game had lost 6 in a row. Saskatchewan also struggled last week, losing 23-16 to Calgary and dropping 3 points behind the Stamps for second place in the West. Now, Calgary should beat BC today, so that means Joe Farragelli and the Eskimos will need to win to stay in first place. And John Gregory and the Riders will need a win to remain in contention for second.
There is another story developing about this football game. It comes from the 2 Edmonton daily newspapers, which are reporting this morning that the Eskimos are a team with racial problems. Here's what the Edmonton Sun had to say this morning. Several Eskimos, white Canadian players, suggest Eskimo problems are black and white. That, according to Terry Jones of the Edmonton Sun. The Edmonton Journal headline this morning said, "Are racial problems tugging the Eskimo ship under?" Now, I covered the Eskimos for 8 years in Edmonton, and this is not the first time it has come up. I talked to some of the players today. They would not comment on camera, but they did say off camera that, yes, there are racial problems with the team. 3 weeks ago, quarterback Tracy Ham was asked to call a meeting to discuss it. He said he didn't feel there was a problem and refused to hold the meeting. Is it enough to drag the Eskimos under during the playoff drive? It's hard to tell, but it's certainly something the Eskimos will have on their mind as they prepare for this football game. Now, for some more comments on the game, let's go upstairs to John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Okay, Gord, definitely a lack of harmony on the Edmonton Eskimos football team in the dressing room this year. Leif, what do you make of all of what is being said today?
John, you know, I played in the league for 8 years, and I know one thing. After games and practices, like, the black guys would go one way and the white guys would go another way. And, you know, that I'm sure has not changed throughout the league. If the Eskimo problems are a little deeper than that, well, we'll find out, I'm sure, in the next couple of days after this has hit the fan.
Yeah, all right, we already know that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have some serious problems on offense because basically the offense is in the infirmary for this one this afternoon. The #1 thrower and the 2 top receivers will not play.
You know, John, they went 13 weeks without really having any serious injuries. Dave Albright was out for a while, but now the 3 big guns on offense are out, and, you know, they're going to have some problems. The good news is those 3 will be back for the playoffs, and I think that's all that John Gregory cares about.
That's not quite the same story for the Edmonton Eskimos, who have some running problems, and their running problems may not be cleared up in time for the playoffs.
Well, see, that's the other side of the coin. They have lost Reggie Taylor for the year. He's a tough guy to replace. Also, Mr. Instant Field Position, Henry the Gizmo Williams, he will not play. He's got a punctured lung. We don't know when he will return. So they have serious problems that I don't know if they can be replaced.
Saskatchewan Roughriders today still have a shot at top spot in the Western Division. It's a long shot right now, but a win today, they may still overtake the Eskimos with a little luck. Gord?
One of the keys to Eskimo success over the years has been their ability to recruit players in their own backyard. A lot of graduates from the University of Alberta and a lot of players from the city of Edmonton. One of them is the longest-serving Eskimo, slot back Marco Sinkar. and he's the subject of this week's Meet the Player feature.
Slotback Marco Sinkar and his long hair have been a constant on the Edmonton Eskimos since 1981. His best year, 1987, when he established career highs in receptions and yards gained. When he retires, Sinkar says he'll trade in his football gear for a business suit and enter the world of advertising.
The last couple of years I've been working for a TV production company, Randy Lennon Productions, and basically what I do is I've been learning the advertising aspect from the television point of view, and it's really opened my eyes to the industry of advertising, and I really think that's fascinating and something I'd like to get into after my career's over.
Time now for our hits of the week, and we'll start in Hamilton, where number 3 on the hit parade is delivered by Hamilton's Gary Wilkerson on Edmonton's Brian Walling. Another look. This is the second time Wilkerson has delivered a hit of the week this season. Runner-up for this week comes from Winnipeg and is by a runaway train by the name of Bomber linebacker Tyrone Jones, blindsiding Toronto quarterback Ricky Foggy. Jones has been doing this sort of thing for quite a while and seems to be getting better with age. Now for our hit of the week, and it comes from Calgary. Saskatchewan's Bobby Jurison overpowers his blocker and lets Calgary quarterback Rick Warman have it. Jurison is known for his quickness, but on this play, you can see he has more than enough strength to give us our CFL hit of the week. Trivia time. Our first clue, and always the toughest. This former CFL quarterback was drafted by the Chicago Bears in 1974. He played 1 season in Chicago before joining the New York Jets, where he played under Joe Namath before being released.
Taylor Field is a tough park to win in, and no one knows that better than the Edmonton Eskimos, who haven't won here since August 28, 1987. The CFL Report returns in a moment.
McAdoo, the ball carrier.
Our second clue. He was recruited by Marv Levy in 1976 and was a member of the Alouettes when they won the Grey Cup in 1977. He went on to play 11 seasons in the CFL.
Welcome back to Taylor Field on the CFL Report. Joining us now is Eskimo running back Blake Marshall. And Blake, we've seen the Eskimos run the ball more this year. In fact, you're the league's leading rushing team. That must be good news for guys like you.
It is. You know, it's a great opportunity for myself as being a running back to get a chance to handle the ball a little bit more, you know, and do my job that way.
Last week against Hamilton, we saw the Eskimos run the ball early and go away from it. Will we see a more consistent running attack today?
We're going to see. You know, we're prepared for Saskatchewan. You know, both with the run and pass. We're going to see what works for us, and you know, we're going to go with the run if it's there, and if they're stopping the run, you know, we got the passing game to back it up.
I guess it says a lot about Eskimo depth when you can lose guys like Reggie Taylor and Brian Walling and still have a full complement of running backs.
Yeah, we're pretty healthy with the running back situation in Edmonton. We got, you know, some guys in the practice roster that can step in and play as well. So, you know, that's not much of a concern.
You like the hard-nosed football. You look forward to games like this against Regina?
I do. They're a tough-hitting team, and you know, they got a great defense, so it's going to be a tough physical game.
Thanks very much, Blake. You know, drafting players like Blake Marshall is good news for the Eskimos, but they make some decent trades as well, like the one that brought Mike Walker from Hamilton in the offseason. He's the subject of our Behind the Mask feature.
The Edmonton Eskimos solidified their defensive line this year by acquiring Mike Walker from Hamilton. In 9 years, he's averaged 10 sacks a season. A good guy to have on the field. Also, a good husband and father.
I see a lot of guys up in the CFL that are playing, but their families are back home in the States. But, you know, I couldn't be without my family, and especially during the season, I need them. You know, when you have a good game or a bad game, I like to come home and see their smiling faces, and that makes up for everything. So I got to have my family wherever I go.
Weekends and days off, he's not one to be going out with the boys a lot or anything like that. He's home and with his family, and it's important to us.
Along with wife Kristen, there's Walker's 9-month-old daughter Taylor and son Marcus, who at the age of 5 seems to have inherited some of the Walker football talent, although maybe not the modesty.
But nobody can catch me when I'm playing football. My friends they're older than me, and I can get past.
They already play football. So they play out there every day, so they even come get me. They want me to play every now and then, so we play all the time.
Walker plans to play 2 more years in the CFL before beginning a new career as a teacher. Life will be a little different, but he'll still be with his family and plans to remain involved in football.
I've always wanted to coach, you know, ever since I was a little kid, you know, and, well, not a little kid, but 8th grade through high school, I always wanted to be a coach, and, you know, I want to stay in football, too, and stay close to the game, so I'm looking forward to it because I want to, you know, as soon as I'm done, I want to go right into coaching somewhere.
On the last segment today, we've got the middle safety of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Glenn Studer, joining us. Glenn, I can't believe it. 7 years you've played for this club. You never missed a game. You're a little guy. You're supposed to get hurt every once in a while.
Well, actually, you know, we were just talking about holding, and in '88, I sprained my ankle badly, and I was actually kept on the roster just to hold for field goals, so that kept that streak going. So that
Any way you can do it.
Any way I can do it.
All right. Listen, you are here to try and make me laugh today, and I'm in a grumpy mood, so I don't know, your chances are tough. But if you do, you will win the TSN hat. If you don't, I'm going to be all over you in a hurry. Have you got some good stories for me? Or?
Well, I tell you what, Dave Ridgway paid me not to tell any stories about him, so I got one about Raz, and, you know, I do a little bit of travel.
Who's Raz?
Dan Rasovic.
Okay.
He's a linebacker on
it.
You know, I do a little bit of traveling in the off-season, and we were talking about trips, and he said, you know, Glenn, I was stranded on a desert island once, and it was about, I was there for 3 or 4 years, and I hadn't seen a person for a long time, and he said, all of a sudden, this girl, beautiful blonde, walks up on the beach, and she's gorgeous, and she slowly starts to undo the top pocket of her wetsuit.
No.
And she pulls out the cigar, and Dan says, oh, I can't believe this. I've been here for years, and you have a cigar for me. This is great. And she says, well, if you like that. She slowly undoes the other pocket, and she pulls out a beer. She says, oh, I can't believe this. You got a beer for me. Dan's just going crazy. And she says, well, if you like that. And she slowly undoes her top, and she says, you want to play around? And Dan says, no way. You got a set of golf clubs in there, too?
I love it. That is good. Hey, put that hat on. See if it fits.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming on.
Perfect. Thanks.
Nice to see the CFL players bounce back after a tough go last week and make Leaf laugh. Well, you know, the guys we talk about a lot in Canadian Football League games are the guys who give their teams instant field position. And this week we asked fans, who's the best at doing it?
This week on the CFL's Best, we asked some players who they thought was the league's best kick returner.
I'd have to say Gizmo Williams for Edmonton. He's got some really good moves, and so he's really fast once he finds a hole or a seam in the returns, and once he cuts it loose, you can't stop him.
Gizmo Williams, I think, from the Edmonton Eskimos, he's got great speed and agility, and he can accelerate very fast. As soon as he sees a hole, he can accelerate to the hole very quick, and playing on specials, you know, we try and kick the ball away from him as much as we can.
Lorenzo Graham's having a good average. He's doing well, probably competing with Henry Gizmo. You know, there's Crawford from Calgary there. I would rate those 3 as probably the top 3 returners in the league.
Saskatchewan punter Mike Lezecki, along with fellow rookie Ray McArady of the Edmonton Eskimos, are the CFL punting stars of the future. Lezecki comes to the Green Riders from the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. He was only with the Huskies for 1 season, but says it was a very good year.
Well, probably the thing that stands out the most in my mind is probably my roommates. I lived with 4 girls my last year, so that was pretty good. And and no, other than that, probably the biggest highlight playing college ball for me would be the Van U Cup.
The fans are pouring into Taylor Field in Regina, getting set for what should be a great football game between the Eskimos and the Rough Riders. The CFL Report on TSN returns for Regina in just a moment.
Our final trivia clue. He came off the bench in 1983 to lead the Argos to an 18-17 win over the BC Lions and was named the Grey Cup Player of the Game. The answer is Joe Barnes.
You know, there's a lot of ways to measure success. For some, it's statistics, the numbers that a player puts up throughout his career. For others, it's the way championships follow them around. That's the story of Joe Barnes.
Plano, Texas, 30 minutes from Dallas. And a ride in the residential area shows how affluent a city it is. It's the home of former CFL quarterback Joe Barnes. He lives here in this 3-story mansion with his wife and 2 children. Barnes was a star with Texas Tech in the early 1970s and a CFL great for 11 years. He cherishes his days in Canada and still wears his 1983 Grey Cup ring. That was the year Barnes came off the bench and rallied the Toronto Argonauts for the game-winning touchdown.
There were just a couple minutes left to go in the game, and I think I had hit Paul Pearson for a pass, got down to about the 2-yard line. There were just a couple minutes left in the game, and I know we called a little sprint out pass to the left where Cedric was a hot receiver, and they blitzed both their outside linebacker and their backside safety, and nobody was on Cedric. They had to bring a linebacker all the way from the other side of the field to cover him, and he couldn't get there. And he was just wide open, and instead of trying to rifle the ball, I remember it was one of those alley-oop passes. And I think Cedric was probably waiting forever for the ball to come down just to catch it. But that put us ahead, and we won the ball. Went ahead 18-17 at that point.
Barnes joined the Montreal Alouettes back in 1976. He quickly became recognized for his scrambling ability. He played for the Alouettes championship team in 1977, and 1 year later, he was the starting quarterback in the Grey Cup, only to lose to the powerful Edmonton Eskimos. Barnes played for 4 CFL teams. He also had a tenure with Saskatchewan and Calgary, and had a very fulfilling career.
I look back on it all, and I wouldn't have changed one thing. Don't miss the game one bit. I miss the paychecks, but I don't miss the game as far as the wear and tear on my body. After 13 years, I'd kind of had my fill of playing, and knew it was time to step down and get out of it.
Both Barnes' children are involved in football. Joey is 10 and plays in a local league, while Joanne is 12 and is a cheerleader.
All right, we're set. We're going to play.
No question, Barnes is a family man. He takes every opportunity he can to spend with his family. And professionally, he and his wife Diana recently set up a sports agency working with amateur and professional athletes in the U.S. For Barnes, life couldn't be better.
I've really grown a lot over the last few years. I guess it really started the last couple of years of my football career when I really began to seek God wholeheartedly. And a lot of things have happened for my own good, and if I had it all to do over again, I'd do the same thing.
I remember the days when Joe Barnes played here at Taylor Field with a quarterback by the name of John Huffnagel. Remember they referred to the pair of them as J.J. Barnagel for a
Yeah,
time.
you know what? They were a great duo here, and Joe Barnes, one of the great relief quarterbacks that we've ever seen in our league.
Let's move on to our players of the week. We look back to week 14. I get first pick as usual, and I look to the Hamilton Tiger Cats and their outstanding kicker, Paul Osbaldiston, who had a simply marvelous afternoon 1 week ago as he kicked field goals from everywhere on the field, including a 57-yarder, and actually won the game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Edmonton Eskimos.
Oh boy, all the kickers in the league will be sending you Christmas cards for that one. I thought he had a great game. You know who my guy was from the Calgary Stampeders? How about Greg Peterson? 2 big interceptions. This one right here, he's going to scoop it and go all the way for the touchdown. And of course, Calgary Stampeders hanging on to second place in the Western Conference, and they have to do it with defense and special teams. And my player of the week, Greg Peterson from the Calgary Stampeders.
No argument where I sit today. We both agree on our choices this week, Gordon.
Well, that's a story in itself. The Eskimos and the Rough Riders are teams that love to put pressure on the quarterback. And as we go to commercial, let's take a look at who's doing it the best. The CFL Report returns to Regina in just a moment. Welcome back to Taylor Field. Out of town today, the Ottawa Roughriders have just taken the 30-27 lead over the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a key Eastern Division showdown at Lansdowne Park. And we'll keep you up to date on the other game, BC and Calgary, as the day progresses. You know, last year at this time, things looked dismal for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They had lost 3 straight games. But what a difference a year has made. They've turned things around in the Eastern Division. Last night at Skydome in Toronto, the Argos once again ran into that suffocating Winnipeg defense. John Congemi picked off by Greg Battle. Congemi had come in to replace the injured Ricky Foggy, but he had a tough evening against that suffocating Winnipeg defense. And the offense wasn't bad either. Tom Burgess hooks up with Eric Streeter, and the Bombers are the beasts of the East. With a 21-16 victory over Toronto, Winnipeg secures first place in the East Division, and the Bombers will play host to the East Division final. In the West, it's not over for first place. The Eskimos have not dominated as expected. Calgary and Saskatchewan are still in the hunt for first place in the tough Western Division. CFL Commissioner Donald Crump says he'd like to see the Grey Cup played every second year at Vancouver's BC Place. The reason? BC Place can seat 60,000 people, which provides the opportunity for greater revenue. BC Place will play host to the Grey Cup game for the 4th time on November 25th. The BC Lions and Edmonton Eskimos traded wide receivers this week. The Lions acquired rookie Darryl Colbert, who had 39 passes and 5 touchdowns so far this season. In return, the Eskimos got veteran Larry Willis, currently 7th among the league's receivers, with 49 catches and 6 touchdowns in 1990. And we will see Larry Willis in an Edmonton Eskimo uniform this afternoon against Saskatchewan.
This week on Fans Corner, we went to Edmonton and asked Eskimos fans why their team has lost their last 2 games.
I'd have to see injuries. They'll bounce back. Yeah. Once they find another running back, once Gizmo gets back in the lineup, things will turn around.
I think it's probably a lack of discipline and leadership on that club. The thing with the Eskimos is that they need to get control, because come the big game like last year against Saskatchewan, it will cost them going in the long term.
They take it too easy. That's what I think. You're going to score that fast, you know, and then all of a sudden, then you go, the other team is coming back, and I think that is no good. You know, they slack down then.
I don't think there's that much wrong. I think it's just maybe they're just getting a little bit flat, but it's good because they're not peaking too early, maybe.
And time now to open the mail. This one, Leaf, you're going to have a tough time coming out on the right side of. It comes from Red Deer, Alberta. Dear Leaf, you're a man who must have an opinion on ladies in the locker room. Once and for all, should they be allowed in? All right, stick
Maeve, why me? Why me? Listen, let's put this to rest right now. Women are allowed access, should have equal access to their male counterparts in the media. That is not the issue. I think players have some rights too. So let's set up some kind of compromise where the women are allowed to talk to any players they want, the same as their male counterparts, but let's do it in an environment that is easy on the players as well. End of discussion.
All right. I like your answer. All right. Any other thoughts, comments? Drop us a line. Address it to Dear Leaf, 1155 Leslie Street, Don Mills, Ontario, M3C2J6. We'll answer the mail again next time.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. You know, this rivalry has been great through the years, and this season as well. They split the first 2 meetings, the Eskimos and Saskatchewan. Is it a matter of the Eskimos reclaiming their hold on first place, or will Saskatchewan make it even tougher? The answer may be blowing in the wind here at Taylor Field in Regina. The kickoff is coming up. It's the Eskimos and the Saskatchewan Roughriders live from Taylor Field. Local blackouts are in effect. Check the local listings in your area. That's all for the CFL Report. We'll see you next week.